All right, so this is the final segment. We're talking about storytelling. This is, I believe, the fifth segment for the day. So we're going to wrap things up right here. Let's talk about what makes a story effective. Effective stories use language to add vividness to ideas and steer the audience towards your goal and strengthen a positive image among audience members. You need to learn to use words that draw your audience in, words that paint pictures for your audience, words that are vivid, that contribute to their imagination. Get them involved, get them as being a part of your story. Avoid cliches. Avoid words or phrases that are overused, that have lost their impact. Avoid using insults. Avoid trying to anger your audience. Avoid demeaning your audience. Avoid devaluing your audience. Avoid complex sentences. Avoid jargon and things that may not be understood. Listen, when you're telling a story, you need to tell it on an eighth grade level. You need to get down there where everybody can understand it. Be short. Be succinct, to the point, and use descriptive language. Use lots of adjectives and adverbs, those things that describe. Don't just say, something was fast. Say it was fast as a bolt of lightning. That draws an image. It draws them in. It creates a picture. It adds vividness, and it gives force to your idea. So you want to choose words that do those things, that make your presentation more vivid, that make it more forceful, that steer others into the goal that you're trying to get them to, that strengthen a positive idea in the audience of your solution. In order to do that, you want to avoid using words that may confuse your audience. You want to avoid using words that people may not understand. You want to get on that basic eighth grade level. Get down there where everybody can understand what you're saying. You don't have to use a $10 word to get across your idea. Get down there on that basic level. You're not going to be too simple. Even intelligent people are going to understand you, but you need to speak in a way where people who aren't so intelligent can understand you, because your words are powerful. So use words that won't confuse, and use words that won't alienate or cut off part of your audience. Use words that vividly create images that will enhance your speech. My wife loves to use word pictures, and word pictures are powerful. Employ word pictures, metaphors that help describe what it is you're trying to talk about, because metaphorical language connects your audience with the speech. There's a theory called framing theory, and it's mentioned in your textbook. Framing theory says that when we take two things that are not quite alike and we attach them in a metaphor, in a figure of speech, that comparison has a deep influence on your audience at an unconscious level. They're going to remember that. And when they see one of those two items or they encounter one of those two objects, it's going to come back to them. And so you can use a metaphor to get across a powerful idea. I may have used this example before, but my wife's employer brought in a motivational speaker to speak. My wife is an RN. She's a team leader at a hospital, and they brought in a motivational speaker to speak to their team leaders, their management positions. And part of that speaker's presentation was about being thankful. And he made a connection between thankfulness and yellow cars. Basically what he said is, you don't see a whole lot of yellow cars. Yellow is kind of an odd color for a vehicle. But every now and then when you're driving down the road, you'll see a yellow car. It kind of stands out. It's different. Not everybody's got what it takes to drive a bright yellow car. But when you see a bright yellow car, you'll always notice it. And he said, when you notice a yellow car, make a personal habit of right then telling yourself something that you're thankful for. So every time you see a yellow car, I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my spouse or my girlfriend or boyfriend. I'm thankful for a school that I can go to that supports my values. Whatever it is, thankfulness was, this speaker attached thankfulness to yellow cars. It's a metaphor. It sits real deep. It gets real deep in the psyche. That happened a year ago. My wife still counts yellow cars. We'll be driving down the road and you go, man, that's the 7th yellow car I've seen today. I'm thankful for this. And she'll rattle off another thing that she's thankful for. She does that. She's got it where everybody in the family does it. We always notice a yellow car and we always tell what we're thankful for. That's the power that a word picture can interject into your message. Another thing that you need to do is remember the value of repetition. Repetition is a powerful rhetorical device, and you can't use it so much when you're writing. You write the same thing 2 or 3 times, and people get bored with it. And I know it's popular in singing, but the same thing applies to singing. You sing the same line 8 times in a row, and people get kind of bored with it. But in speaking, you can get away with it, and it's a powerful thing. The more you repeat an idea, the better your audience connects with the idea. So say it over and over and over again. When I spoke at chapel service at Urshan earlier this year, I used a repetition. I'm a debtor. I'm a debtor. I'm a debtor. Over and over again, I'm a debtor. And then towards the end, I switched to you're a debtor. And I made that point over and over again. That repetition drives home the point. We owe a debt to the cross. We owe a debt to a lost world. It's our debt to reach them with the gospel of Jesus Christ. The 5th thing that you need to remember about the words that you use is utilize the power of we. When stories are just about you, they use I and me language. And when you find yourself using I and me language, you've limited the effectiveness of your story. When you use stories that utilize we language, the we language generates a collective agreement that we are in this together. Don't tell me so much about you, tell me about us. Don't tell me what you can do, tell me what we can do. It's a powerful tool in the hands of an effective storyteller. Whenever we get involved in the story together, we become a part of the solution together, and it gives you the opportunity to compel your audience, to motivate your audience to action on the basis of this story that they are a part of. That's what effective stories accomplish. Effective stories invite participation from the audience. Whatever you do, remember this. Don't waste the emotional impact of a good story. If you're going to tell a good story, an emotional story that's going to draw your audience in, that's going to make them empathize with you, empathize with the point you're trying to make, then by all means, capitalize on that emotion with a call to action. Ask your audience to do something. Don't tell that kind of story and just for the sake of telling that kind of story. Make sure the story concludes with a call to action, with a call to your audience to do something, to motivate them to become involved in something. That's the point of using that kind of story. Now, always remember, stories serve a purpose. As a matter of fact, they serve the purpose of your speech. Your speech had a purpose statement. Your story should always serve that purpose. It should always be in harmony, pulling together with that purpose. So find effective stories and harness them to the appeal that you're making to your audience. Don't just tell stories for the sake of telling stories. Tell stories that draw your audience in, stories that are harnessed together with your purpose. Those kind of stories are much more likely to get your audience to engage with what you're saying. You'll increase your effectiveness as a speaker when you learn to use the energy of stories to compel your audience to take action. This is what you're trying to do as a public speaker. So that wraps up our lecture for this week. Don't forget the assignments that are due. I mentioned them at the beginning of the lecture. Self-analysis of speech number 4, an outline for speech number 5, a discussion post, This is, once again, very intense part of this class. This is not the time to slack off. Just a few weeks left, and we're going to hit the final, and we're going to be done, and you're going to get a break. But don't let up now. This is a time where if you let up, you could have a very large negative impact on your grade. God bless you. I hope you have a great week.